Hello, everyone. We are back. I am Penny.
And I'm Shawn.
And we are, what are we? We got a name.
Oh, yeah, we do have a name now. I forgot about that.
What's our name?
What's our name?
What's in the name?
Well, we just came up with this, so, give us some slack. We're not used to doing our whole spiel or anything yet.
Actually, we're going to do a podcast.
Yeah, we're going to turn this Facebook Live. It's also going to be a podcast, too, and we're going to get that actually put up. But right now we're still in the process of working out the details and getting it all put together.
The whole heart and soul.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
The whole heart and soul.
That's right. Whole Heart and Soul podcast. So that's what we're going to have up there. I'm trying to find the details here so I can pass that on.
You know the song Heart and Soul, the piano duet. Da 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 da. Heart and Soul. That's kind of how I started thinking about it, and we went from there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But I'm having a hard time finding it.
But it's going to be good.
Yes.
I mean, it's like this, but podcast.
Yeah, podcast. So, some editing and some different things. And oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, so it's the Whole Heart and Soul podcast, where we love thinking from the heart and speaking from the soul. So that's our catchphrase, and credit to Brandy for giving me the idea of adding that speaking from the soul bit on the line.
Thank you, Brandy.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for that. And so be looking for that. We'll be putting links up on our social media later when we get that done. And you'll be able to listen over these things from your favorite podcasting app. If it's the iTunes or if it's the Spotify or what have you, it'll be available there as soon as I get this launched. So be looking for that.
I had a busy week last week. I had the week before, a little bit more than that, longer ago than that. I had 8 caterpillars at one time, and they're monarch caterpillars. And then they just ate and ate and ate, and I kept having to bring in new plants to feed them, new leaves, because they just ate and ate and ate. There were 8 of them, and one of them made a chrysalis too soon, and it wasn't good. So I just put him outside. I knew he wasn't going to do well. But then I had 7, and one of them crawled off. What's a caterpillar mama to do? And I looked all around, could not find it, but I was happy to still have my 6 caterpillars, and I was watching them, and they were finally as big as I thought they were going to get, and they finally stopped eating up all the leaves. So the last plant actually has a few leaves left on it. And so I watched them as they were looking for a place to make a chrysalis, and they all lined up along the stems of the milkweed plants that I had. And so I had all these chrysalises hanging down, chrysalids hanging down. We must be scientifically accurate here in our terminology.
Oh, so that's what you call them, huh?
Chrysalids. Yeah, I had to look that up because I kept saying chrysalises.
Chrysali.
Yeah, chrysali. So they were so neat hanging there like that, and they suddenly, was it Monday? I think it was Monday. I didn't think they would come out until Friday, but Monday I started having butterflies coming out like crazy. So I think we had the one that crawled away made a chrysalis somewhere, like in the bookcase or somewhere. I never did see the chrysalis, but I think it was Monday. Morgan had to go to work. He came up and he told me, he knocked on my door and he said, "You've got a butterfly." And so I came down and I looked on my plant, and there was a butterfly there, but he went over to the window and had another butterfly. So the one that crawled away, the one that escaped and I couldn't find, it made a butterfly. So we had that one. We had those 2 right away, and then I got to see a couple of them come out, but they come out so quickly and quietly that I usually don't catch them. And all of a sudden I look over there and there's a butterfly hanging from where the chrysalis was. So that was fun. That was exciting. And they were all out by Tuesday, I think it was. So they were they surprised me as how fast they came. But it takes about a week and a half for from the time they make a chrysalis until they're a full-fledged butterfly and they come out. So that was fun. That was my big thing last week. So what's been going on with you, Shawn?
I've been very busy with a lot of different things. I have so many different projects going on. This is going to be a second podcast here on top of the other podcast, and another podcast I'm hoping to start with a friend of mine. And then I also have a lot of music projects I'm involved in. I've started learning to play the guitar. I'm doing a lot of writing, a lot of writing, trying to get my book finished, which I've had some recent progress on that. So that's been nice. Had a nice spot of inspiration to figure out how to write something I wasn't really sure how to write before. So that was really cool. So that's still progressing nicely. There's just there's a lot, I got a lot on my plate, a lot of different creative projects I'm involved in. So it's mostly just been trying to figure out balance and how to do it all and how to get each thing, because they're all projects I love, they're all things that I love to do, but even the things you love to do can become a trial. They can become a pain if your attitude isn't right, because you're wanting to, you're focused on the accomplishment, that you stop loving the process and you stop loving the moment and what you're doing. So interestingly enough, that segues into our topic. The worthy endeavor of rest. So the reason why we chose that as the title, because I think we need to change a stigma that we have in society about rest. Mm-hmm. We have, especially in America, we have a, such a high ideal. We place at such a high value the American work ethic.
The Puritan
work ethic. And now it's, since we've lost all track of history, it's just our modern work ethic or whatever. But the reality is, it is good to have a good work ethic. It is good to be a hard worker. It's good to be diligent and, try to do your best and put your best foot forward in everything that you do and all that. And that's great. But the problem is, an equally important value is rest. And
we don't want to put it up there on the same level.
Yeah.
As important as work.
In fact, we in society, we treat rest as something regrettable that we have to do, and really the less you have to rest, kind of the more impressive you are. The more you're somebody that, oh, look how much they're doing, look how much they're getting accomplished. They only need like 3 hours of sleep, and and that's like seen as the higher value, and that's seen as the more praiseworthy behavior, is when you rest less and do more. And that's a problem, because rest is not just something that we have to do, that we need to do, that it's for the weak or whatever. It's for rest. It's for when you're
the lazy.
Mm-hmm. All the kind of stigmas and things where we have almost this kind of shame about resting. Like if you're going to take a nap in the middle of the day, that means you're lazy. It means
people laugh at you.
Yeah, or want to prod you or wake you up or whatever. It's there's a big just stigma about rest, as if it's not really a good thing, as if it's something that's kind of embarrassing that we just happen to have to do sometimes. But I want to change that stigma. I want to think of it differently, especially for myself, for my own life, and I want to help other people start thinking about it differently, because the reality is, rest is not just important, not just necessary, not just something that we have to do. Rest is actually a wonderful thing. It's actually a worthy endeavor. It's something you actually have to put effort into, because
and be aware of your body's needs, your mind's needs, your
needs. That's a very big part of it. Is the whole mental aspect of rest, and the emotional aspect of rest, and the spiritual aspect of rest. Mm-hmm. It's really important to take that time. And sleep is not rest. Sleep is just what your body needs, and a part of a cycle that you go through the phases, you go through processing what happened the previous day so you can get into the next day. Rest is not sleep. Sleep is not rest.
So how would you describe a resting lifestyle?
A resting lifestyle, one where you actually value rest properly, would be where you would actually take the time, and instead of everything just being accomplishment oriented and just, I got to get this done, I got to get this done, I got to get this done. Everything is the list of accomplishments. Everything is what I need to check off the list next. And it's all about trying to do as many things, cram as many things as you can within one day. That's, instead of living like that, you live where you value the moment, and you take the time that you're in, and you relish the moment. You love the time
Yes.
that you're spending doing what you're doing and with the people that you're with.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's having the balance that though there are things that need to be done, there are things that need to be accomplished. It's also equally important, not just kind of important, but equally important that you take time to disconnect from what you're doing and not just take a break where you're still thinking about the same thing and you're still thinking about what you're going to be doing next and you're still in work, rush mode, that alpha state that your brain is in. You got to get out of that and you got to get into, or beta state rather, and you got to get out of that and you got to get into a state where you're more relaxed and where you're able to just be and just feel and just give your mind time to catch itself up and get to where it needs to be, so you're not still back here and you're in the back of your mind and right here in the front of your mind and you're all scattered and you're all disconnected because you haven't taken time to really transition in your thinking and transition in your feeling and your emotions. When you're just go and you're not giving yourself any time to shift gears from one thing to the next, you're really putting a lot of stress, a lot of pressure on your mind. And so a restful state, a restful way of living is to respect those boundaries and to know, okay, I wore myself out a little bit. You know, I expended some serious energy on this activity, on this thing that I was doing. Now I need to take a step back and either do nothing for a little bit or else do something that I find to be relaxing, something I find to be restful, and get my mind off of what I was doing last. You know, not just rush to have some fun or rush to do something relaxing. You have to totally disengage from the mindset of there's something I have to do and there's things I have to accomplish.
Hi, Selena.
Hi,
Thank you
Selena.
for coming on. Now, Shawn, I have a question for
Mhm.
you. When I was a young mom with 6 kids, 10 and under, I don't think I got much rest. What would you recommend to someone in that condition? What would you have recommended to me during that time?
I would have said, and this is now more what my kind of thinking is, I think that's where community is supposed to be. I think that's where family is supposed to be. I think that when kids are, especially when they're young and they need a lot of attention, I think moms do need a break. I think they need
Yeah.
their,
But you know
the
what
grandparents to be able to take the kids and things like that.
What was hard about that was I didn't have that mindset about rest, and I thought I should be able to do it all.
Yeah.
I thought I should be able to be super mom and should be able to handle it all without asking for any help.
Yeah, should never need any help. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's the problem, and that's
Yeah.
why rest needs to be seen as a higher value. It needs to
Yeah.
be seen as something that is a worthy endeavor. That's a part of your calling as a human being, is to have rest. You know, that's even if you take it from the scriptural point of view, we're told to strive to enter the rest.
Yeah.
You know, and if that's not the way you roll, I mean, that's fine, but either way, it's what we need. You know, it's something that we need, and it's something that can actually enrich your life and help you when you're going into another task, when you're going into another thing. Your mind actually has time to grow and adapt, and you're not just repeating the same kinds of things that you know work. You're actually able to start thinking creatively and dynamically. But for that situation specifically, I believe that's where not everybody has the community around them. I understand that. You know, not everybody has family that will really help and engage and do what you need them to do. I understand that, you know, and that's hard. That's where we need to really work on building that kind of community. It's not just going to happen. You know, for most of us, we're in this culture, in this society, there seems to be a lot of disconnection, very little family, very little community. And we can either just bemoan that.
People move away like we did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're also mobile these days that,
Yeah.
you know, and no one hardly stays in the same place long enough to establish the long-term relationships. But either way, the thing is, we can't just look at that and say, well, this is how it is, so it's too bad. No, we need to actually put in the effort to try to build those kinds of connections, try to have that kind of extended family, a tribe of people that we can rely on, they can rely on us, and we can make sure that young mothers are getting a chance to actually rest, and that they are getting a chance to take time, that they're to improve themselves and better themselves, so that they're able to really give their best to their children instead of just being worn out.
I was stretched so thin, and I was grumpy, and when any mess would happen, I would just overreact. And I really did think I needed to do everything for every one of my children. I couldn't even have a babysitter, and that finally changed after a while. I was desperate, and I knew I needed a change. I needed something better than what I was doing, because I just couldn't do it with that many little ones all at one time, and not even a whole lot of help from Gary at that time, because he worked so much. He worked overtime all the time, and it was a lot, and I should have started figuring out earlier than I did that I needed to let other people help me. I would just need to accept their help, and not have that crazy. I don't even know where I got it from, but I thought I should be able
to do everything all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's
I wanted to be impressive.
Yeah.
I wanted to impress everybody how busy I was and how able I was to take care of.
Which fundamentally comes from wanting to impress ourselves at the end of the day, wanting to believe, that we're doing a good job, and wanting to have our own self-approval. And more often than not, we think we got to have other people's approval before we can have our own self-approval.
Mm-hmm.
That's really that's a value that's out of order. But rest is really important. And
in fact, I got even busier by tutoring and homeschooling other people's kids and doing assessments for homeschoolers every summer. Instead of resting more, I kept getting busier.
You got even busier, yeah.
And I did have a few women in my life who were saying, I think you should back off a little bit. You don't really need to be doing all of that. And I just kept on my merry way until I just couldn't do it anymore. Because
it's a values thing. It's a values question. And in our country, the more you do, the more valuable you are.
Right.
So we're very stuck on that whole, needing to prove our worth, needing to prove our value, that we're worth our salt.
That we're productive.
And we're productive members of society. And we miss the whole other side of life, the intrinsic value of human beings, the intrinsic value of the life we live, the experiences that we have, that ultimately it's how we make other people feel that's what they're going to remember, and not specifically what we said or did.
And we shouldn't be in the whole picture. We shouldn't be trying to impress people anyway.
No.
And as a Christian, you want your light to shine because you want them to see Jesus in you, and that's not going to happen when you are all full of yourself, trying to show people how great you are.
Yeah, when you have a point to prove all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that took some years to learn that. And so if you find yourself needing rest, you shouldn't be ashamed of it or embarrassed.
No, it should not be an embarrassment. It should not be something to be ashamed of. The fact is, really, who we should be more impressed with is people who learn how to actually rest well and have that in the balance of their lives, where they are, doing the things that they love to do, the things that they were really made to do. They're productive in it. They make an impact. And they rest properly. So they don't burn out.
They have a good attitude while they're doing all those things.
Yeah, and that's the trick of it, is to realize that rest is a worthy goal to strive for. It's worthy to strive for living in a state of rest in your life, and having as much rest as you need in the day. And that's going to affect everything, even your sleep. If you don't get good sleep, it might be because you don't get good rest. It might be because during the day you're too busy and your mind is flying around and doing all kinds of things, and you're pushing yourself too hard. So at night, you're just trying to collapse, but you can't because you haven't had rest all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when it seems like, you can think, I don't have a bunch of thoughts keeping me awake. Maybe not on the surface, but maybe in the back of your mind you do. And maybe that's why you're not sleeping so well, or why you wake up really tired. So it's important that we learn to think of rest in a more constructive way, and think of it more as a positive thing, to actually say, way to go. You actually rested today. You were restful today. That's something we should really actually admire in others, seeing that they're good at resting, and we should learn from them, because that it is an important part of life, and it's where so much, that is the rest and recreation.
Healthy. It's very healthy.
It's very healthy, and it is where a lot of growth in your creativity and spirituality and sense of self and emotional growth, a lot of those things are going to happen in rest, not in sleep, not in while you're still doing other things. It's going to happen in a restful state. So it's something to strive for. And if your circumstances seem to just totally disallow getting to rest, then, the answer isn't just, well, what am I supposed to do? I can't rest. The answer is you need to figure out your circumstances.
Yeah.
Because we should never just, surrender to a way of life that gives us no rest.
For a single mom, that is a very possible scenario.
That's a big challenge too. And it could be easy just to be like, I just don't have time and I just can't do it. But you've got to figure out a way. You've got to find people who will help. You've got to build a community around you, get a tribe around you, do something, but you cannot live a life without rest and think you're going to live it to your fullest, because you're not going to be your best for your children or the people that you're with. You're not going to be your best to yourself. You're not going to be enjoying it like you should. We should love the process.
Don't be ashamed to reach out and ask someone if they know somebody who can help. You don't have to come right out and say, can you help me? Just say, I've got this situation, and even just childcare while you're at work is not going to be enough. You're going to need, I would think you would need some time to rest even after you get off work and you spend some time with your kids, or take a rest before you spend time. I would think you would need some support. I can't imagine being in that, but I know people who are, and they make it through. But rest is important, even for you. So
yes.
Make sure you find a way to do that.
Yes, we should always be loving our life. And it's impossible to love your life if you're always just racing to get to the end of it. And that's where, again, rest comes in, because it teaches you to value the moment. It teaches you to really look over what you just got accomplished, what you just did, and be grateful for that and celebrate the little things in the day. And rest allows you to actually be enjoying the time that you have, which is very important, because what are the people around you going to remember? Your kids or whoever you're with, they're going to remember if you were gloomy the entire time, had a sour look on your face, or just determined to get through the day, or if you were actually smiling and actually taking time to really be personable and communicate and just make it as positive an experience for yourself and everybody around you as possible. That's only going to happen if you're resting enough. You're pushing yourself too hard, you're not going to be able to do it, and you're not going to enjoy the moment. You're not going to enjoy the journey you're on right now.
And that's what God gave us life for.
Yeah.
Is to enjoy it.
So life is not a journey where you're at a start and you're looking to reach an end, reach a destination. Life is an adventure full of journeys, full of different things that we do, different places we go, different experiences that we have. And it's supposed to be an exciting adventure. It's supposed to be something that we're really loving every second of it.
And it's our choice to make it that way.
It's our choice to make it that way. But this is one of the keys for it being able to, to work like that for you, is you have to value rest highly enough. You have to consider it as important as being productive, as having a good work ethic. It is just as important that you're good at resting.
Yeah, and it comes down to the choice of making sure you get enough rest.
Yes,
it's all about choice.
On a daily basis.
Yeah,
it's intentionality. You do have to be intentional. That's why it's a worthy endeavor. It doesn't just happen. You got to make it happen.
Yeah. So that's our show for tonight. Thank you, Selena. I'll be talking to you later. I'm glad you're feeling better. We will be back. Well, this is Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a late Thursday.
Thursday was
Friday, i.e. late Thursday.
Yeah. So we'll be back next week, whichever day.
Hopefully Thursday.
And we hope you can join us then. And replay viewers, thank you for coming on. And if you have any comments, please leave them. And you can find Shawn
on how to be an internal success on Facebook. And you can also check out my Instagram account. I am Steadfast1. I put a lot of the same stuff up there, and some personal stuff too. But those are the two main places.
And I have a blog at safehavenhomeschooling.com. You can check that out. It's all about homeschooling. I have another blog, pennydouglas.com, that has a lot of stuff on it. It's been doing it for 10 years, so there's a lot of material there. You're welcome, Selena. Thank you so much for coming on and listening to us. So we will see you next time.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.